Hey, what's going on? This is Sarah Lee Day with another episode of Dubsado Tidbits, the things you need to know about Dubsado delivered in bite-sized pieces. Over the last few episodes, we've been talking about the reporting area, and we've covered invoices, transactions, and now we're going to talk about the chart of accounts, which we've mentioned a couple of times, but now we're really going to dig into it. So let's take a look at where it is first. On the left-hand side, if you click on Reporting and come down to Chart of Accounts, this is where you'll see that information. Chart of accounts is separated into your income categories and your expense categories. But before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about what is the chart of accounts and what are these categories. So in bookkeeping and accounting, the chart of accounts is a list of all the different categories of your income and your expenses. And that information is used to break up the different income sources or types of income, as well as different expenses. And the reason that that's important is depending on the type of income or expense, you may be taxed differently or maybe a tax deduction. And keeping that information organized throughout the year will help you so much. It will save so much time at tax time for you and your accountant by having everything organized in categories all throughout the year and based on every single transaction. So when you're setting up your chart of accounts, keep in mind what categories you need. You might want to consult your accountant or bookkeeper to figure out the best categories to use for your business. Or if you're not actually using Dubsado for your official bookkeeping or accounting records, then you can really set these up whatever makes sense for you. So another good way to categorize things is to split up your income and your expense categories into different products, different services, different expense types. That way you can see in your business which products and services are bringing in the most revenue for you, which expenses are costing you the most, and you can kind of base your business decisions on that information when you have it organized into these categories. So let's take a look at how we can set that up. So under income, your trial account will already have a sample tax item in uncategorized and then the gross revenue underneath. Expenses also has the sample tax item and uncategorized and total expenses. Now, based on the information we entered the other day under the transactions, we actually already have a couple of balances in here. We had $100 in uncategorized income. We had a $30 tax payment that we made and $10 of a registration fee that we put in. So our total expenses here was $40. Now, if we wanted to edit any of these categories, we would come over here to the baby gear icon. You can see that on both of these that can be edited. The uncategorized categories are defaults, and anything that does not actually have a category will go into uncategorized. But any other categories that you add manually, you will be able to edit as well or delete. So for taxes, you would just click edit here, and you can put in your own tax name here. So let's just say this is sales tax, and we'll just leave it at 20%. If you have multiple taxes that you are collecting and remitting payment on, then you can add multiple tax items in here. Click Save, and that has updated the tax item here. Now, these two tax items are actually connected, so if we click out to something else and come back, we'll see that this sales tax and this sales tax are connected. So as you're collecting sales tax on your sales, this balance will be going up, and as you're making your tax payments, this balance will be going down. So we actually made a tax payment before we collected tax, so that's why this is in the negative. Now, if you wanted to see all the transactions that are currently being categorized by each of these, you can click these purple links over here on the side, and they will take you to the transaction list, for example. And it will show you a filtered view of just those transactions that are being categorized under that category. So this was the sales tax expense. We can see here we spent $30 paying that sales tax, and this is our only transaction that falls under that category. The other thing you can do in here is you can see your balances by different time frames. You can look over the last 365 days, year to date, last 3 months, last month, or a custom date range that you choose. And whenever you update that, the totals in these columns, the totals for each of these categories will update according to that date range. Now obviously, since we don't have any information in here, we don't have any other expenses or income, this information is not going to change right now, but if we did, it would update based on the dates that we put in here. Now to edit the income and expense categories, if you need to add some more, we can add those over here using these buttons. For income, you're going to type a name, so let's just say this is my workflow strategy services. And type, you're going to choose sales, services, or non-operating. So since this is an income category, your income can either be sales of like a product, a physical product. It could be services where you're selling some sort of service that you offer. Or it can be non-operating. So that would be something like maybe you get affiliate commissions, or maybe you get a refund from like a cashback program your credit card has, or something like that. Anything that's non-operating, so you didn't actually make a sale, is going to be non-operating. And once you choose your category type, then you'll just click Add. And you may have to click out and come back in to refresh the view for it to show up. And there it is. Income services, no sales yet. And you'll want to do this for all of the different income types that you have. So we had account audits. Now you can actually, depending on your business and the way that you are reporting your income, you could actually set this up as just a single services income category if you're using something externally like QuickBooks or FreshBooks or Wave or Xero or any of those other accounting platforms. If you're doing more robust accounting and bookkeeping in those platforms, then you may only want to do 1 or 2 income categories here. If all you're needing to do is tell Dubsado that this is income versus expense, you may not need to set up all of those different categories. Just depends on how you're running your bookkeeping for your business. But for this purpose, I am going to go ahead and set up categories for each of my services. That way I can tell when I'm making sales which of these services are generating the most income for me. Alright, then down on the expense side, same thing. If you're logging expenses, your business expenses into Dubsado, then you'll want to add those expense categories as well. So let's say we're going to add an advertising expense. That is going to be an operating expense. So we'll click Add. If we were in the business of selling a product or something that requires actual physical pieces to be purchased and put into the production of the service or of the good, then we would put that under cost of goods. Non-operating expenses are going to be things like if you have a business loan and you're paying interest on that, that's an expense, but it's not an operating expense. It's not actually having to do with the running of your business. So once you have all of your categories in there, you might need to go out and come back in to refresh so you can see that everything is listed in here. And later in a future episode, we'll talk about your packages and creating invoices, and that's where these categories are going to come into play. So basically it connects those services, those products that you're selling from the invoice, from the proposals that you're sending, and connects that to your chart of accounts so that you can report on how much you actually sold for each of these categories and how much you're spending on those expenses. One last thing in your chart of accounts, up here in the very top right, you have an Export Profit and Loss button. Clicking that will give you a CSV export of your profit and loss information for whatever time period you have selected here. And that's something that your bookkeeper or accountant will want to have access to. And you as a business owner, you'll want to be able to see your profit and loss basically the balance between how much you're bringing in and how much you're spending on your expenses. And that's it for today's tidbit. For more information about receiving updates, requesting future episodes, or getting help with your own Dubsado account, check out the links in the description below this video or visit sarahleeday.com. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.